I'm Dr. Alethea Tucker, and I am the visionary behind this project, Reinvented to Rise. The Reinvented to Rise project truly stemmed out of my experiences. I went through a bout of depression during that process. I was also, just really kind of getting into the midlife point when the children start to leave and you really start to think about what is it that you want to do. What I dealt with was major. I knew that other women felt the same things that I felt and dealt with the same things that I dealt with. I said, I'm not the only woman in the world who is reinvented, but truly there are other women out there who need to reinvent and they need to hear stories about it.
Alethea and I have known each other for years. And when she talked about this project and introduced it, I said, this is the time for me.
When I did the first book, Reinvented to Rise, my goal was to have women to look at this book and be able to identify with someone on the cover.
This project is so important because you get different stories from different women with different backgrounds and all walks of life.
I learned that I couldn't walk.
The transition started after I lost my job.
I lost somewhere around $300,000.
I had lost my mom.
And my father passed away.
I just sat back and cried.
When my brother was killed,
lost my home because I neglected myself.
Now I'm retired.
There's strength in numbers, and there's strength in being able to look at somebody who has dealt with the same things that you've dealt with and be able to resonate with that.
We tell you the importance of reinventing, not just in business, but personally as well.
I said, I want these women to be on film so that people can see their reactions and hear their stories live.
glasses must go on. Look at the camera or you.
10 times the charm.
And for these women to be able to elaborate more on what they couldn't cover all in that one chapter.
The road to recovery is long and littered with setbacks. It is disappointingly slow, and with each step forward, there seem to be several steps backward. I have learned that
Don't wait for somebody to come to your rescue, because take it from me, nobody's coming to rescue you but you.
Instead, I try to develop strategies to take these failures and turn them into opportunities for growth. In some cases, this may mean distancing.
When a woman loses her mother, it changes her. Nothing is the same. Since my mother's passing, I've been in a battle with myself, in search of myself.
I am Amazon 5-time best-selling author, Dr. Alethea Tucker, and this is Reinvented to Rise. Ladies, thank you all so much for being here. This has been just an awesome production for all of us, and I know you feel it. We feel our energy and the fact that we're so committed to what we do. I just wanted to talk to us a little more so we can expand even on, what we've already done and what we've said in our books. I just wanted to start a discussion around it. And I'll ask a question or two and you guys fill in where you fill in where you fit in. How's that? So, Deidre, I'm gonna ask you a question right up front. Les Brown has a quote that says, to commit to reinvent yourself, and that it's not always the easiest of things to do. Real growth happens in a place of discomfort. What do you say to that?
When I heard you state that quote, the one thing that came to my mind immediately is challenges.
I am Dr. Deidre Hill, and this is Reinvented to Rise. I got involved with this project because I have had a number of trials and tribulations. The one that really sticks with me the most is pretty much my first tragedy. I was involved in a very terrible car accident. I was not expected to live through the night. Morning came and I was still alive. I found this inner strength that I just relied on and was tested over time because I learned that I couldn't walk because I had all of these broken bones. My left arm was paralyzed. I could not use it. I couldn't raise it. I couldn't raise my hand. So I had all of these injuries, and I learned about patience because I expected, of course, to recover in a very short time period, and it took me almost 2 years to learn how to walk again. Our experiences that we've all shared in the book have pretty much laid out a blueprint for how to overcome these challenges. I know that I am a survivor. I know that no matter what challenges come before me, that they are not insurmountable. You can't truly know success until you've known failure or any kind of setback. If you feel like you're successful and you haven't had any tragedy in your life, that's not success. You can really be more grateful, more thankful for the things that you have in your life when you have come out of a storm. You know, these challenges are to be expected. This is going to be a part of life, and that's okay. And the more that we go through them, the more that we have these obstacles or these feelings of uncomfortableness, that it makes us better at going through what we need to go through, and that we become unstoppable. It doesn't mean that we're still going to be uncomfortable, but as long as we can say we are doing better today than we were doing last year, then we're doing something. We're moving forward. I am better off today than I was last year. If you're not saying that, then you need to make some changes. And this continuous improvement is never ending. And as long as I'm saying I'm in a good place today than I was last year, then I'm reinventing myself.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. That's perfect. And it's true. And what she said there at the end, you know, it's not to say that we're not going to continue to be uncomfortable, but we're moving forward. You know, that means we're not at that same place.
Being a part of this project allows me to share my story with others, and hopefully that story will help to uplift other women and let them know that it's all right to fall down, but what's not all right is not getting up.
So anyone else? You know, we're still talking about this whole Les Brown committing to reinvent yourself, and that's how you know that real growth is happening, even when it's an uncomfortable place.
There is a skill set that I think you learn. It's meditational. I'm Dr. Pam Straker, and I am the owner of Heroic Caregiver. And that is a platform that serves people who do family caregiving. It is my belief that a part of getting help from others is having a clear understanding of yourself. I'm not saying that at all times we know everything, but certainly we need to rest, take some meditative time to really think about and feel what it is that we want to be about. In so doing, by clearly defining or more clearly defining what we want to be about, we draw others to us. For those people who are faith-based, it is relating to God and relating to a quietness in your soul. And learning how to do that. I don't think you do that easily. I don't think it's an automatic thing. But I do think that meditational quality helps you through those difficult times. It doesn't mean it's totally comfortable, but to quiet your mind so that you are not finding yourself, feeling those rough edges, feeling the abrasiveness of the situation. You can take things that you think are negative and you can wallow in how negative they are, or you can take them on and you can use them to really promote you into your next phase, into life, into helping others. Without helping others, you're really kind of doing nothing. And so for me, That's the goal, always.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I was gonna say, you know what it reminds me of is diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Diamonds start out in looking very different, and they gotta struggle through to become gorgeous, valuable jewelry. Well, my name is Jackie Scott, and I live in Columbia, Maryland. My story of reinvention is really the story that was reinvention born out of loss and pain, and what I also characterize as missed opportunity. Pearls, right? Pearls go through a struggle to become the valuable instrument that they are. Butterflies, if we look at the caterpillar to the butterfly journey,
That's true.
but the beauty that emerges from the struggle, I think that's what our stories are.
Yeah.
That's what that quote means, and that's what the reinvention is.
Mhm.
And all of us are our diamonds in the rough, our pearls, our caterpillars becoming butterflies. I had in my own work been encountering women who were just talking about being broken, being disappointed, being overwhelmed, being in times of shame. And much of it was in the pandemic, they'd lost many things. They'd lost people, they'd lost jobs. They were disconnected and isolated from one another and discouraged. And as I began to talk to them and encourage them and share my story personally, I found out that they were mourning things like loss and grief over divorces, pouring themselves into marriages for 25, 30 years, and then they're over, trying to figure out what they do with their lives. It's okay to have grief. It's okay to process it and to have hope that it's never too late to come out on the other side. Not easy when we're in it, right? But after the emergence, after the reinvention, there's beauty there in that struggle.
That's right. I quite often like to say that we have grit, right? And grit means that it's growth resulting in transformation.
My name is Dr. Tabitha Russell. I am the CEO and founder of Inside Inspired Women, which is the home of Breakthrough Millionaires.
We don't necessarily see it in the beginning, but as we continue to grow and to mature and experience that, whatever it is that we're going through, that challenge at the time, we seemingly grow and it results in that transformation. So the more I think about it, the more that we have grit, or the more that we now stand up to that situation, it just makes us want to come out of it, but stronger.
I started off as a business owner well in my 20s. And as I was doing that, I came across a business partner that we got into business together. And I made one wrong business decision. It caused me to lose everything. I lost in that one decision somewhere around $300,000.
When I think about grit, I'm like, get your teeth into it, like, get mad about it and do something.
That's right.
Don't stay in it and suffer in silence no longer, right?
Right.
And now come out stronger though. Come out with that resilience that's needed for you to go to that next place.
When I lost everything, I really didn't have a backup plan. And so now with reinventing myself, I've had the opportunity to create multiple streams of income, which helped me to fortify now my foundation, as well as teach my children in such a way that now they're growing up and they're following in their own footsteps, right? They've created their own strategies and their own plans of what success looks like for them.
And we talk reinvention, and of course, this is the second book that I'm talking reinvention, and Pixie, you too, because you were in the first one.
My name is Pixie Lee. I am from the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. This is the second version of Reinvented to Rise, and I was actually a part of the first one. When Miss Alethea said she was gonna do a follow-up, I said, yep, because I had to reinvent myself the first time in order to become the successful business owner. But a lot of people think that that's where it stops. They see the glam and the glitz and stuff when we're posting on social media or when we tell our story, but nobody gets down to the nitty-gritty and says we had to go back to the drawing board a second time and reinvent something else in order to rise to the challenges that were created because of the pandemic.
It's not a one-time occurrence, is it?
No.
Some of us, probably are even reinventing since we wrote our chapters.
It's not just a one and done. It's a continued process. My first reinvention was getting out of that shadows of what other people thought of me and what other people said I should be in order to be the person I was supposed to become. The second reinvention, I had to go back to the drawing board. So my companies were successful, but not in the way that I expected them to be or I wanted them to be. The reinvention is going to take place multiple times. You should always be sitting down every year to do an evaluation of your business. And that evaluation is not 30 minutes. That evaluation is not 1 week. If you're gonna do it the right way, you need 90 days. So the best time to do that is in the end of the year. So you can look at the previous 9 months and say, this worked, this didn't work. Let's do something different for the upcoming new year.
It is constant because you're always going for refining, redefining, and absolutely recognizing your best self. If you really want to do reinvention in its purest form, if you want to be successful at doing it. And many people, have some real momentous occasions, or they have some real defining moments that have really put them, I like to call them moments of transition, or moments of those aha moments, that really put us in a place where we know that if we don't make change, which is all reinvention really is, if we don't make a change, then in many instances, we may not survive. We definitely won't have that life where we're thriving. Can any of you think of a real defining moment for you? When things, where you may have had an aha moment?
I would say my aha moment was after I got laid off and I started on this journey, because I was literally at a crossroads. Like, where am I headed? What do I do? Do I go back to entrepreneurship? Do I go back to corporate America to support my family? Like, I have all of these options in front of me. What do I need to do? And I started thinking about some of the things that people had said to me. You should do this. You should do that. And I'm like, well, this would be the perfect time to do that on somebody else's dime. You get your packages. So it's like, I don't have to worry about the money piece, and I could take my time and do it the right way. So that was my aha moment, or my crossroads that brought me to where I am now. I went ahead and said, let me just go in and jump in the deep end and see if I can swim.
There you go. Yes. Big aha moment. Many of them occur around careers.
Absolutely.
Many of them. All right. Anybody else?
I had an aha moment on my job in Oakland, California. Hi, I'm Lindia Grant, and I am from North Carolina. I call myself the sharecropper's daughter. I started doing something, helping the nursing department recruit. I became employed a month and got so good at that thing. I started telling my sisters we should start a business together. We didn't even live in the same area, but I kept saying it, and it happened. Critique Career Management Services Incorporated was what we started, a small women-owned minority business. I was thinking my reinvention was going to be starting this business, using jobs, peace, and freedom as my launch, because it got us some news. We got in some of the small Black papers, and it was a cover story on Howard University. A grand opening now. Here we were, new in town, hadn't done nothing yet. But then after everybody was gone, the phone wasn't ringing, it was quiet. I said, this is not working. I don't know what we're gonna do now. We got this office. What can you do to market your company if you don't have any money? My sister Ernestine said, I read this story, a seafood shop that had a crab race, and they wanted news. And so they asked all the TV stations, would they name one of their crabs, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9. They got all excited about who gonna win, and they talked about it every day, and they got all that free publicity. So what they were telling us is that events can put you on the map. Because of what had happened at the grand opening, I wanted to make sure this time something happened. And because our company opened in February, Black History Month, I said, we're gonna salute Reverend Jesse Jackson. We can do a bronze bust of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Because it was about resumes and job search, that grand opening. That's what it was all about. But the bronze bus was to get me some extra attention. Reinventing is what the bronze bus was about. Somebody got to know I'm gonna be a taller tree than all the rest of them in the woods. You see a forest, you can't tell nothing about no trees because they all bunched together. But if it's one a little higher, you gonna see it. And that was my thinking. To me, that was an aha moment for us. And we were successful as well.
Oh my goodness.
When you're telling your story with a group of people in a book collaboration, it's important for you to make sure that you stay in contact with them because you want to be of service to them as well, and not just, oh, well, we did this project and now we're done, because that's not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to form a bond. You're supposed to be connected at the hip. You're supposed to be able to work with each other in the future. And they have been absolutely wonderful. Just being at the meetings and getting to know them. You know, I expect that we're going to be connected at the hips along the way for this one as well.
I was incredibly fortunate to have a few trailblazers, real history makers, to join in on this project. Their contributions really helped us to expand on the topic of reinvention, and they brought incredible insight to us via their reinvention journeys. Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, she is the CEO and co-founder of the Skinner Leadership Institute. Dr. Zena Pierre, President and CEO of Rayarp Strategies Group, LLC. And the Honorable Judge Wanda Keys Hurd, Associate Judge, Baltimore City Circuit Court. Judge Hurd, thank you so much for being with us today. I truly know that when we're talking about reinvention and that entire process, I know that you have a lot of information that you can really weigh in on. Can you tell us a little about yourself and what you're currently doing?
Well, I practiced law for 40 years. The first 17, I was a litigator for most of that time. And then in 1999, I was appointed to the bench, which is the Circuit Court for Baltimore City. And I served for 21 years. I became the chief judge of that court, which is a historic honor in that no woman had ever served as the chief judge of that court. And that court has been around for hundreds of years. Now I'm retired. I kicked my shoes off and took off my robe, and I spent the first year trying to decide what I wanted to do. There is a way that you can give back to your community from service, but there's also a way that you can take your extra time and be a blessing and guide the youth towards careers in the law or careers in anything else. There's an organization called Stop the Mothers from Crying, and we go into the schools and talk to kids who have been victims of trauma, traumatic circumstances that have happened in their homes, where maybe a relative, a mother, a father, a good friend has been murdered. But we literally are showing up in their classroom and encouraging them to vent some of their frustration. I'm passionate about working with the youth. I'm continuing to do those types of things while retired. You notice I didn't say I was returning as a visiting judge. I didn't say I was practicing law. I could, but I choose not to.
Oh my goodness, powerful. I know a defining moment that I had. You know, as I've already stated, you know, reinvention happens more than once. But one of my real defining moments came even recently in the passing of my cousin. She was 50 years old, very huge part of my life, really my little sister. And she really had me, or that whole experience made me realize that now or never, you just don't know what the next day holds for you. And for that reason, I said, we're going to do this. And this particular one, I want women to come forth and tell their stories of perseverance and character and courage, because those are all things that I saw in her. And those were things that I knew that I needed to exhibit as well, and things that I knew other women needed to hear about in order to be able to do their reinvention. Plenty of women are going to read this book. Plenty of women are going to watch this documentary. And I want them to know from us, what is a reinvention tool? If you had to say one tool that you definitely need to have in your arsenal, in order for you to successfully do this and to go after those things so you can thrive, as I said before, what would that tool be?
The way this project is being done, I think, is critically important. You have several people who are coming together and sharing their perspective on moving forward with life, on reinvention. My way of viewing it is different than the other people who are involved in this project, and that's how it should be.
For me, it is really blocking out the outer noise and finding a way to become quiet. And, sometimes you think you're being quiet, but I mean really becoming quiet and listening to the messages that are being communicated to take you forward.
I was just going to echo the need for community. And I think about it as a tribe. We all need a tribe. Black women dream all the time. We have so many dreams. What we often lack is the support for those dreams. We lack the support of people who are there to mentor us, who are there if we want to start a business to finance us, who are there to tell us and encourage us to keep going even when we fall down. And we oftentimes lack just the doors being open and the seats at the table. And the women that I work with oftentimes, once they get there, they're holding on to dreams that are just so hard to just keep going in. And so I think that's oftentimes where their dreams maybe wane and flow and fall off. And what's important about reinvention, what's important about rising, is to know that there is a place for you, because we defer our dreams. And so when our dreams slow down, what we do is put our energy into other people's dreams. Our kids' dreams, other family members' dreams, our spouses or our partners' dreams, and we become the helpers because we can see their dreams and we want to make those dreams happen, and yet we defer ours. And that's where I think we have to encourage each other to move forward and to rise. But it doesn't have to be large. It could be one or two people, or it could be as broad as we make it, but it needs to be a tribe that's based on trust and align with your values. And that's what we often miss. Because sometimes it looks like, there's a group of people who want to do just they're doing what I want to do. So I'm just going to attach myself to them. And there's total misalignment. They don't value what you value. They're going to compete with you and not lift you up. Absolutely. You need people you can call and just say, this is hard. Or I don't know what to do. Or I'm scared. Or look, celebrate because I just got this or I did this. And know that no matter what, they're going to be there for you.
That tribe also has to not only believe in you and be there for you, but also be willing to tell you the truth.
Yes. Absolutely. In love.
In love.
Right. In love.
And you have to be able to take it.
I am Candy Martin. I am the CEO and founder of Candy Enterprises. We are a multimedia management company. The support that women need is to have a circle. I have a circle, and I know a lot of people call it a circle, but technically I got a line. I got a couple of people that actually support me. And it's not the type of support that they're agreeing with everything that you say. They actually listen to what you're trying to do. They give you constructive criticism. And you have to be able to take that, especially being in a position that we are. With you being a owner of a company, you have to be able to listen to your circle and actually take that information and put yourself in a position to make more money.
They not hating on you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always talking about your haters. They not hating on you. They actually telling you something that you need to hear because they know you.
That's right.
And that's true.
They know
when you're misaligned.
They know you get an attitude when you been spent hours on that and it didn't work. That ain't it's not right. You know what I'm saying? And then you, of course, what you do, you show to them like, ain't nothing wrong with this, and they're like, well, actually, you know what I'm saying? You need that person. You know what I'm saying? Or those people. And once you get those people, stick with them.
Yeah, that's right.
People always want to jump and find somebody else, but once you get your team, your tribe, your sister circle, your line, as I call it, because I got a line.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, once you get them, you stick with those people, because all of those other people, that's noise.
Yeah.
You referred to noise, and it made me think of something as well. This group, you know, I call my 40+ group. We start to feel, well, you know what? Maybe this is time for me. But then that noise starts hitting at us. So how do we deal with the noise? How do we deal with, you know, the feelings of not having self-worth and the feelings of the lack of confidence and the whole self-esteem thing? Because those are the main things that hold us back from actually pursuing reinvention.
I value evolution and the word evolution because, as you know, that's what I believe reinvention is about. And that there's certain stages of life. You all, I had on some heels earlier today that we all know they were wonderful 10 years ago. They are no longer of value, and they shall meet the proper end.
Right.
So I guess what I'm saying is, just like those heels, there are certain things that we value at different stages of our lives, and there's certain things that come to certain people. For me, the whole caregiving aspect came to my life, but wasn't it something that I was able to do that and maintain a career and help others to do the same thing, and to still feel worthy?
All of the experiences that we've had build upon each other, so that even when you are starting over or you've had something happen that wasn't the best, you in essence are taking the strengths that you've gained from those old things, those things that have happened that are not great, and you're building on it. And so though we call it reinvention, I call it evolution.
As you evolve, you begin to figure out what is really the point. What are we doing? Take the heels off and get rid of them.
Right.
And the other thing is, always have a second pair of shoes.
That's right.
So I think I say all that to say that your values, you have to, at each stage, recognize, you're in a different stage, and that you will have to change your actions and your activities in accord with what your point is at different points in your life.
We should have balance.
Yes.
Right? There's some days that you're going to work hard. There's other days that you're just going to relax.
Yeah,
there's other days that you just play hard, right?
That's
you
it.
get it all in. The good thing about all of that is that you have options, right? If we don't like something about ourselves, what are we going to do? We're going to work hard to change it, right? Yeah. If we want to start a new business, we're going to work hard and make it happen. So having that balance and knowing when it's time to quit, knowing when it's time to go hard, is that thing that helps us now to be able to say, okay, I'm good today, or I'm not good today. A lot of times because we're moms, right? Because we're caregivers, because we're, whoever we need to be at that time, right? The lawyer, the doctor.
Oh, boy.
All
Indian
of that.
chief.
Indian chief. So we find that we got to wear all the hats and we got to be everything to everybody. That's why a lot of times we don't find time for ourselves. And because we do that, we're spent. We have nothing left to give anybody. And so I believe the best way that we can do that is by learning to empower the word no, first of all.
Yes.
Right? No is okay, but I say sometimes explain why it's no.
Right.
No, because I'm tired. Right. No, because, if you have other obligations and things like that. So just having that balance, having options, and learning the power of no.
For me, I had to learn no. I have a schedule. You go to Walmart said they close at 9 o'clock.
So
You can't get Walmart open up at 9:15.
Right.
So I am in business. Respect my business. But in order for you to respect my business, I have to respect my business. So I had to set boundaries. This is the time that I talk to people. This is the time that I do not. I actually put it in my contract, what my office hours are. So that way, when you sign the contract, you know what my office hours are. You have to set the way that you want people to treat you.
In addition to knowing your value, know what you value.
That's right.
Because when we sell out on our values because of what the rest of the world is trying to tell us, we can't get to our true selves. And so many times we get to 50 plus, and the world is telling us, oh, right now you got to be booked and busy. The more you got to do, the better and more success you are, right? Booked and busy is the thing. How many webinars can I do? Can I run my business and work my full-time day job? Can I do this, do that? But if you value your family, if you value doing nothing but sitting on the couch with your husband or your significant other and Netflix all afternoon or watching your favorite series and not on the cell phone, then don't worry about what the world's going to try to say. Because if that's where you find your joy,
That's right.
so many of us
Got to shut it down.
and say, I have no more joy because I'm doing what everybody else has determined is success and not what I value. If I value my time to meditate or to practice my faith or just spend time walking in nature, I'm not going to answer my phone.
That's right.
Right. Sorry.
That's
You the
right.
boss. Well, I know, but guess what? I have a boss.
Right.
That if I don't talk to my boss, I can't be a good boss for you.
That's right.
Dr. Pierre, thank you so much for being with me here today. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me to talk a little bit about reinvention. Tell me a little more about you.
It's interesting because I wear so many hats. Started out in a career in television and then ended up in the Clinton administration. And I was special assistant to the president for intergovernmental affairs. And I was the first woman licensed to preach in the history of my home church, First Baptist Church of Annapolis. And I got to tell you, this is not I wanted to be the Joyce Myers, the Black Joyce Myers. All I wanted to do was write books and go and do conferences. That's it. I had no interest, vision, or thought of being a pastor. When you trust the process, even when it doesn't make sense and it doesn't look like what you would think it should be, if you would just follow it when it's God's plan, He always works it out for your good. And so you really have to follow the voice of God when God is calling you, because sometimes you will tell a person your idea or your thought about something that you believe you're supposed to do, and they will tell you, hold off. Don't do it right now. Or why don't you join it in with what I have? And I listened to that for a year. But I'm so glad that even though I honored voices that I trusted, the timing of God was so perfect and when it was launched.
You need to take care of yourself, and I'm laughing. I was thinking about what Jackie said about valuing those skills, because let me tell you, running back and forth between dance and taekwondo and It almost took me out, but we figured out how to do it. And I like to call it plugging into your journey. That's why I talk about the journey so much and sharing your journey, because there really are some gems in there. We have wisdom ladies. Is there any advice that we could give those watching this? What would we want to tell them? What is something inspirational that we want them to know as we leave them here today from this?
One thing I would say to someone listening is live a good life, try to do the things that are right, and be like the bamboo tree. Work on your foundation, because you water the bamboo tree for 5 years before the thing come up and everybody looking at you like you're crazy. Why? They keep watering that grass. And the bamboo tree comes up and gets 90 feet in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so then everybody be calling it overnight success when you kept working, when
you were watering.
And Les Brown always told us it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So that's all I want people to do, is stay focused on who you are and what it is you need to do, and be like the bamboo tree. Grow, just quietly grow.
I like that. Yeah.
That
I
one
would
works.
say the biggest thing that I would leave would be to be willing to always invest in yourself at the highest level possible for you. And that could be a little different for some people. For example, last year alone, I invested almost 6 figures in myself for coaching and training and development.
Right.
Some people would say, you're crazy. You pay that kind of money.
No, you're not.
However, what I got out of it was invaluable.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yes.
We say that, but do we really believe that? You know, I know that if you took one subject in your life that you really love to do, and you just study everything that you need to know about that one subject, you become the subject matter expert in 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
However, I knew that investing in me and getting somebody else to help me with that path helped me to cut that time in half. 1 to 3 years, right? Because I have this thing that I believe that the learning or the learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will sit on the sidelines and watch everything pass them by. So we got to constantly be in motion and learning all the time, or less we'll get left behind.
Yes.
You know, so we've always got to be on the latest edge of everything.
And ready to. Oh, I love that.
In addition to you can do it, before you even do it, be comfortable with yourself.
That's right.
Because the journey is not easy. It is rewarding, but so many times we discount, as you said, that inner part of us.
That inner knowing,
But that inner knowing is knowing Jackie's imperfection along with Jackie's strengths.
That's right.
And where they came from. And we enter into this journey, and sometimes we hit brick walls because we always come back to ourselves. And we never get comfortable truly with, and I talk about this in my piece, I had to get comfortable with myself, which started back in my 7 and 8 year old self. What did I experience and see back then that helped and at times hindered my journey from 7 to 57. And that's all who I am. And in order for me to reinvent, I gotta be willing to know from which I'm reinventing from.
The thing that I would say is, don't worry about the word that whatever market that you're going to be in is oversaturated is a myth.
That's right.
Because just because somebody else is doing exactly what you're doing, they can't beat you at being.
No,
that's for sure. I need to hear that. I need to hear that.
At the end of the day, you can't beat me at being candy.
Come on, right?
If God gave you something, think about it. I do marketing. How many people do that? Right.
Right.
But I made 6 figures, dude.
Okay.
But I had to believe in me. So that means you need to reevaluate. That's right. So I reevaluate every year. What worked? What didn't work? That don't mean that I failed. It means that, okay, this piece needs to be changed.
Yes.
Okay, so we're putting a puzzle together, right? So sooner or later, that you're gonna get them pieces in the right spot. Once you get those pieces in the right spot, it's gonna run like clockwork. And you're making those 6 figures.
Dr. William Skinner, thank you so much for being here today and agreeing to do this interview with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
I am a 60s child, grew up in the San Francisco, Oakland, Richmond Bay area, kind of impacted by the Black nationalist movement more than the civil rights movement, raised by an amazing mother of 8, no father, who, despite our great poverty, always encouraged me to pursue my passion for education. And I talked very early about becoming an advocate for the poor, for poor families like myself. I am CEO and president of Skinner Leadership Institute. We equip leaders for high character leadership. I reinvented myself from an agnostic to a woman of faith. That was big. The people I related to, the people I got to know, the people I listened to, were very different. What I didn't know could fill volumes, so I had to learn what I didn't know, and to know that I didn't know what I didn't know in the faith field. My husband was a evangelist, but he married a woman who barely knew, the difference between Genesis and Revelation. So that was the first reinvention, and most of my friends previously were political, so now adding to that was a whole group of people in the faith community. Reinvention is about rethinking yourself. It's about thinking differently about your options and about your opportunities. Being a second in command to my husband, who was the president of Skinner Leadership Institute, I was vice president until he passed away. I loved being number 2. I didn't have a problem with that. I loved working the vision and making it work behind the scenes. It was traumatic for me, to say the least, to now hear my board say, "You're now our president and CEO." Okay. That was a whole new thing for me. And so I had to think differently about my words mattered. They carried weight. I represented an organization. I just couldn't go on my feelings. I had to have more facts. I had to be backed up by research and facts. I had to think about the people I partnered with, relationships I built, and the like. So that was different. I had a different way of thinking about now. I'm responsible in a different way.
Success is your definition. Success is your word to define. So you cannot look at it based on, yes, you can learn from some of the things that people have done, but ultimately you are successful based on what you believe success looks like to you. And that would be something that I would tell you to keep in mind as you endeavor to go after that best life, because that's what I call the reinvented life, that one where you're thriving, that one where you realize that you only have your imprint, your thumbprint is the only one that's like you. That's how we're blessed, because God made us so individually and very intently on what he wanted us to do, what he wanted us to look like. Scripture tells us he knows the number of hairs we have up here.
That's right.
So he has made us in a way to be unique. So embrace that uniqueness. And that's what reinvention is definitely all about. So that you can be yourself authentically and not have any qualms about it. And go out and pursue that life that you really want to pursue.
This weekend, when I've been with these women, I'm thinking about this experience and I'm just like, wow.
here with you all night.
It's stressed to me how joyful a sister circle can be.
So I met all those ladies and I just had such a ball with them. Bonded right away.
The cameras, the lights, the preparation. And yet, when you walked into the door here, it was just warm. And we accepted each other for who we were and our journeys. And now I just have a whole new circle of sisters to connect with.
Just make that one decision that could literally change your life.
The first step is realizing that you need to change. So if you've already taken the first step, then keep going.
They create their destiny. They really are at the seat of creating where they shall be next.